one guy in my mind right now that seems to have the hitting down on the ball driver shot with the hands ahead, and he does it the best because he hits his wedges exactly how you said it. Obviously, not every time, but when he needs the shot in the wind, Goddard does it. He just did it. That's what he did at the Sony, was the hitting
Oh
down
yeah.
on the driver, low little like mini. Well, it wasn't even a draw; it was like a little hook around corners. It was an awesome shot.
Yeah, that's why when they created that hole at TGL where you had to hit it like with 2 degrees of launch, like everyone was excited to see what Goddard would do there. And I mean, he appeased the masses. He went in there with that 1 iron and he hit that just that bullet, you know. And that shot is coming from covering the ball and then, maintaining that shallowness to the, to the swing, and not just because if you do just chop down and you don't rotate, then all you're going to do is spike the ball up in the air with a ton of spin. He's hitting that ball that low, and it's like a knuckleball, which is why when it hits the ground, it like rolls forever. Got her up. He's extremely good with his trajectory control, just like one of the best out there. It's really good. Scotty can hit shots like that too. He's been known to hit that like buttercut driver when he needs to fit it in a fairway and like, try to come in second in a tournament.
At Mayo Experience.
This is the final word on the Rocket Classic from Detroit. I'm Pat Mayo. Welcome to the show. We're sponsored by Underdog. Use code Mayo at Underdog. Get yourself a deposit bonus up to $1,000. And maybe if you have an angle on some of the course renovations, really hammer down, you can beat Underdog this week and cash in. Keith Stewart from readtheline.com with me is back from his vacation, from seeing Pauly D every single night in his residency on the Jersey Shore. How was it?
Oh, Pat, my right arm, it's totally wore out from beating the beat. We were just fist pumping every single day. It just having the greatest time. Myself, my wife, my kids, the dog, everybody. It's great. Beach was great though. Jersey Shore, nothing better.
It's a great way to live your life. Just never stop fist pumping.
Yeah, I mean, Jersey born and raised. I've done my fair share of it. That's for sure.
Well, we're in Detroit this week, and Jeff and I didn't cover a lot of the changes to the course on the show because, frankly, so our friend Ron Kloss at PGA Splits 101, who is with me at betspertsgolf.com, Michigan guy, he's at the scene. He's now written it all up with the changes there. You can go follow him on X because he's actually at the course right now. He's kind of filled in for you this week, Keith. You're at home. He's listen. I bet you that's a trade you're willing to make, that you can stay at home and someone else can go to Detroit to do the on-site work for me.
Yeah, not only that, it's probably the last year in Detroit, so we got it. We've checked every box. We're good.
Well, do you think because the new schedule doesn't come in for 2 years, not next year, the year after, isn't it likely that this would be back on the schedule?
Well, I don't know. The reason that people talk about this is the end of the Rocket is because it's the end of Rocket. I am sure that Detroit Golf Club and the $16 million they just spent on the renovation to this composite golf course that they use for the PGA Tour would love to keep having. I mean, they get great crowds here. They have a fantastic event. We've seen some playoffs. We've seen some really fun winners. We've seen some bombers. Some of us even had 2 of the 3 guys in the playoff last year and still found a way to lose. But overall, I think Detroit Golf Club would love to have the event. I think the issue, though, was with the sponsorship. And from what Josh Carpenter was saying is that, Rocket's out.
So if Rocket's out, they can find, there's got to be something. Detroit's on the up and up these days.
I mean, Mayo Media Network, jump right in. You and Marshall Mathers. Any more M's?
And we could probably cobble together a few. Maybe just the Motown Classic will be good.
Well, I tell you what, what they've done to this golf course, quite frankly, I mean, I think a lot like Eastlake, it's going to be better for the members than I think it will be for the PGA Tour. I actually think it gets a little bit easier for the PGA Tour. Maybe not to score, but the scoring average overall could go down a little bit. The score won't look that way, but the scoring average could.
I'm going to disagree only because they changed it from a par 72 to a par 70.
Well, that's my point. Like the scoring average will go down, but the scoring will look worse.
Yes, exactly.
Slightly, but just based upon the changes. But overall, I think that if you are a member of Detroit Golf Club and you spent the $16 million and, the number of holes that they, it is a composite golf course. They take 1 from the south and then take 17 holes from the north course, and they kind of reroute the front a little bit. And then the back is 10 through 18 on the north course. And the holes, they do look a lot more engaging than they have in the past at this golf course. They, they love to pump up the golden age architecture of Donald Ross and everything, but really it was just tree covered and a lot of green compaction. So from what I've seen now, the bunker work looks really, really good. All the grading around the greens and the green expansion looks really good, especially on a couple of those par 3 greens where there's those outcroppings and they can have some new hole locations. Should be fun.
So the significant changes to the fantasy game first is that they're going to be fewer eagles because the 2 easy par 5s
Yeah.
are now just super long par 4s because they essentially played as par 4s anyway. So now they're difficult par 4s, which made them super easy par 5s. So being a par 70, there's just going to be fewer scoring to be had, like we talked about. But the biggest changes are what you mentioned. They redid the greens, a lot of new bunkering. They cleared some of the stuff out to get the angles that Donald Ross wanted on some of these approaches. So you think it's going to play a little bit easier?
I do overall think it's going to play easier. Again, that the scoring average, the total score that the guys shoot on a round by round basis, it will be a little bit easier. It won't look as good on the leaderboard because we went from a par 72 to a par 70, but I do think that there's more room off the tee. A number of the bunkers, they added 15 bunkers to the golf course. Used to have 87, now has 102. A lot of those are somewhat cosmetic. Entrances to fairways kind of block the landing areas, kind of knock, kind of hurt your sight lines a little bit. You know what I mean? Kind of distract you. You can't necessarily cut the corners of dog legs as easily. So, like overall, like the changes aesthetically look really good, but for these guys, and as far as they hit it, and the type of golfer that this golf course has always favored, probably the biggest defense they have right now is that the greens are brand new and they'll have a little bit of bounce to them. And then, I think the areas around the greens are a lot more interesting.
So, what type of player do you think that we should be going with here? Because obviously, the default is bomber at a course like this. When you see Potgieter end up winning in a playoff a year ago, like, yeah, of course, bombers. Bryson's won here too. But the guys that were in the playoff with Potgieter a year ago, the guys that we had money on, be it either Chris Kirk, Grazerman's a bigger hitter, but he's not an absolute masher off the tee. Other guys can compete here.
It's not so much just ball speed. It's like driver acumen. I think last year it rated out that, guys use driver like 86 or 87% of the time. So if your hand is forced to use driver that often, you have to be good at driver in order to, gain strokes on the field and to put yourself in position. Now, with a little bit wider fairways, a little bit wider corridors, where they've taken some trees out, I get what the architect is doing. He's trying to create more angles into the greens and use some of the, the green expansion with some new hole locations, trying to make guys decide to play one side of the fairway or the other. All of that is very good, but when these guys get up there and they just start mashing the golf ball, they hit it down there so close, for the most part, outside of those new quote unquote, glorified par 4s, the par 5s that are converted, and the 2 long par 3s. There aren't a ton of like really high leverage long iron shots.
That's interesting. So yeah, okay. So might be able to get some of your wedge players in there, especially if you're in the fairway, and be able to control the spin to get it to the right quadrants of the greens in order to make these putts. But looking at last year, you're right. 86% driver usage and 87.6% good drive percentage, but a driving accuracy of only 64%. Now they qualify this as long rough, 3.5 inches. It didn't seem like it was super penal to miss the fairway.
No, the penalty for missing the fairway here is very low. It's bottom 10 on the PGA Tour. So again, you don't necessarily need to be a bomber. You need to be a great driver of the golf ball in order to gain an edge off the tee. If 90% of the time they're telling you have to use driver, then you'd want to be good at driver.
So who would you think the best driver in the field is? Is it Cam Young or is it Jackson Koivun?
Oh, we're going Jackson Koivun early. The best driver in the field is the one, the only, your favorite man, Mr. Michael Brennan, MB.
Yeah, well,
For
the
sure.
problem is I bet on MB last week, and that was
Yep.
going great until Sunday, and then it really did not go well at all. And I shouldn't be surprised, like when you have such. And I think that everyone is glazing Jackson Koivun, like, oh, look at his age, he's already won. Like Michael Brennan has a win too, not an old guy. And he's brand new. He doesn't come in with the same sort of hype. So seeing him falter in his first like real and he was still well behind Koivun at that point, but he knew he had to go make a run. But it was nice to see him get into the mix at a course where, as actually it was Blickle and I who were talking about it, because obviously you were on vacation, that
Yep.
there was many different ways that you could attack the 3M. But if you could somehow find the combination of distance and accuracy there, which would help you avoid all the penalty areas, you could really grab that course by the balls and hit wedges everywhere.
Absolutely. And I think you're doing the same thing here. You're just, if you miss that poorly here, you're going to make it worse, like, par and a half or a bogey, where there you could hit a penalty shot, and you could put the ball in the water. You could do a number of different things at the 3M. You're not going to see that here, but it's going to be a very similar recipe. You went with Brennan on Sunday for the second Sunday in a row. I've lost with Argentina. So, I mean, it is what it is. Hey, I'm all for the Koivun celebration, but let's not make it a coronation at this point. It's a bit much at this point. Like where do you stand on all of this with Jackson Koivun?
I think that golf needs something like this right now, like a new young guy who, and listen, you've been around longer than I have, but who is the last amateur that got this sort of pub before turning pro? There's one that I can think of, and it was a massive flop, but even through the Ludwigs and the Victors and the Collins, like they were hyped, but not to like, hey, this is the next guy who's going to be amazing. I can remember that twice in my life, non-Tiger division, like post-Tiger. I can remember it twice. One of them was awesome. One of them was bad. And now we have Koivun. Like he's on that level of how people talked about him upon turning pro, and him to win like right away is pretty crazy.
I mean, I feel like we just went through this a couple of years ago with Luke Clanton, and that didn't end well.
Sort of like he was the best, like, but the way that we tried to frame it on the show that Jeff and I did was like, yeah, so some years you're going to have number one picks and you get excited about the number one pick, and other years you get to draft LeBron. This feels like a getting to draft LeBron situation at one, not like, yeah, well, this guy's really good, but we'll see.
Yeah, okay. I don't know.
So the two that I'm thinking of, one is Patrick Rogers.
Okay.
When he was coming, it was like, this guy broke every Tiger record there was at Stanford. He is going to be amazing. It's now 13 years later, and he still hasn't won yet. So Koivun knocked that one off pretty quickly over Patrick Rogers. And then Rory was the other one I remember. Like, this kid is amazing. And it took him a bit of a time to come over from Europe, like his first year in America, to really get going. Then all of a sudden, it was just rockets for Rory.
I mean, Spieth was on a rocket ship early.
He was, but it felt like Spieth reminds me of Blades Brown in a weird way, where he just kind of showed up as like a 19-year-old. I know they had like the 1 year in college, but it's not like, yeah, Spieth's going to be really good. He didn't feel like he was on this level, because we've seen Koivun now for a few years. He has all the dominant college stuff, but we've actually seen him play on tour. We're like, Jesus, this college guy's like coming in top 5 every single time.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I mean, I guess I've just seen it too much. I mean, Spieth won 2 U.S. juniors. He was great at Texas. He came out. He had played in some tour events. I don't know. How about Matt Wolff? I mean, I know a lot of people are making those comparisons because they both won their third start. It both happened to be the 3M. But Matt Wolff, in the year that he left Oklahoma State, they won the national championship. He won 5 times. He came out. And to this day, the 3M, I mean, even if you count live starts, is his only win on any tour.
It is, but being there at the time, I just, even from a betting perspective on the odds board, because the 3 of them came out right like within a week of each other: Hovland, Morikawa, and Wolff. And Wolff was number 3 of those 3 guys. Even on the betting board when they first showed up, like he was always the inferior guy to those 2. And he was the first one to win, which was funny.
But then he wins the playoff over Bryson and Colin at the 3M, and everyone's like, holy cow, like this guy's going to go nuts. And then next thing you know, he did go nuts.
Well, I mean, that was a part of it too. He did have he played in the final group with Bryson at the U.S. Open at Winged Foot. I remember because I had bet on him to win that U.S. Open. But he was a very particular type of player, where he was going to be like, he's almost the advanced version of what we're talking about with Michael Brennan, that if he was driving the ball straight, he was going to be really like, he was of the Bryson mold, honestly, in a weird way, with the way that he played, where Koivun feels like the really super version of Morikawa. Like, it's Morikawa if Morikawa could chip and putt when he showed up to tour.
I mean, most people, they think that Koivun's ball striking is his superpower. His superpower throughout college and everything was his putter.
I mean, would you, if you had to rank the top 10 putters on tour right now, and now that he's officially a member, he'd probably be one of them.
I think if you could get enough stats behind him, he definitely would. He's a very, very good putter. It's been proven throughout his college and amateur career. Very, very good putter. What I worry the most about with him is like the whole Zalatoris thing. There's so much side bend there at impact. Your body's not. It's not natural for your trail heel to be on the ground while you're still hitting it, and your shoulders are basically like 90 degrees to the target line. Like that is a lot of torque on your back. And I get that he's 21, but he's gonna need to evolve his golf swing if he wants to play long term. That just won't work. His body will fall apart.
No, and we've seen a lot of great players' bodies fall apart, and then they're just not good anymore.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Where do you stand on the President's Cup?
Jeff and I have been talking about this for months. As long as he wasn't terrible the moment he turned pro, he's exactly the type of guy that should just be automatically on the team for the president. Who cares about the president? The President's Cup is a pathway to getting guys ready for the Ryder Cup. If you think this guy's going to be on the Ryder Cup in 18 months, stick him on the fucking President's Cup team. Who cares? Get him the reps. Get him to know everybody. Like Akshay should be on this team. If you like, or I mean, I think it should be Akshay. Other people will say like whoever another young guy is going to be that could be a stalwart on your Ryder Cup teams for years to come. Pick whatever young guy that is that doesn't have that experience. Like, yeah, like it's great. We could, as Jeff, to quote Jeff, we could glad hand Ben Griffin and throw him on the team. He's not going to be on the Ryder Cup team next year. Or if he is, he will have played his way on.
Yeah. I mean, if we're comparing apples to apples and it's Ben Griffin and Jackson Koivun, I totally hear what you're saying. I don't know.
Like, what are the standings right now?
Okay.
Like, do you think Cantlay even wants to go?
So that, I mean, I get what you're saying when it comes to the argument between, because Cantlay's going to need a captain's pick, and so Xander. Like, unless they do something wild in the playoffs, which you can't think either of them will. But you're more along the lines of you're removing somebody like an Akshay, a JJ, a Wyndham, or a JT in order to put Jackson Koivun on the team.
Yeah. Well,
so would you take the US Open winner off the team in order to put Jackson Koivun on?
No, I'd keep Clark on there. I'd probably take Spawn off.
You take Spawn off.
Yeah. And look,
okay.
I mean, as of right now, that Akshay has the final spot. And I mean, we know there's the top six. I didn't realize Ben Griffin was in on. How long does this cycle go? Someone needs to play Ben Griffin off this team. How is Goddard up behind Ben Griffin in points?
I mean, I don't know, man.
How is Russell Henley third in points? How does the system work?
I think they just make it all up. I mean, the other side makes sense because the top two are Siwoo Kim and Ryan Fox, which makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, Siwoo's had a career year and Ryan Fox just won the Open. Hideki for sure. But on our side, golly.
Listen, if it came down to Koivun or Akshay, I would take Koivun, and that pains me. But that spot should be better. Like, Akshay may never make a Ryder Cup team. That's in the possibility, the range of outcomes for him. I hope it happens because I'd love to see him win a bunch of events. But Koivun feels like if you had to bet on anyone up and coming to be a 3-time, 4-time Ryder Cup guy, it would be him. So let's get him some reps. Make sure it's no different than when the Europeans took Ludwig as their 12th man at the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, no, I mean, I understand the argument. I completely do. I understand the argument. But let's see what happens.
If it came down to Jacob Bridgman or Jackson Koivun, do you just really want to reward Jacob Bridgman for having like a pretty good year, or do you want to take a guy as a future?
No, I don't want to reward anyone. I want to take people that are train killers. That's what I want to do.
And that is the one thing people say about Koivun is that he is a killer.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it on Sunday. I mean, he talked about it and he said, every hole he got up to, they're like, Scotty's coming. He's like, yeah, I got it. I mean, everyone said, everyone's making a big deal. Scotty shot 127 over the weekend. You know what Koivun shot over the weekend? 127. Like, give the guy some credit. He shot 10 under, 5 under. And, I mean, I'm giving him all the credit in the world. I think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic for golf. I think it's a wonderful storyline. I just think golf does golf so well where they just like amplify these guys to the point where they like almost have to fail. Like, let the guy play. Like, if you're looking at from Jackson Koivun's perspective right now, his goal has got to be to get in the Tour Championship. But if he makes the BMW Championship, think about where the position he'll be for the start of 2028. He'll have full like champ series status. And, then the guy is off and running. He's playing in every single major. And then he's where he probably should be, which is a great thing. What's interesting to me, if we want to talk about this for a second, is that like, if you had to buy stock right now, would you take Koivun stock over Blades Brown? Which one of those two do you think will have a better career?
Probably Koivun, because he is the more highly touted guy. But how old's Koivun now? 23?
21.
21. So Blades Brown still has 2 years. So that's sort of the unfair part. And this, I feel like, happened to Spieth in a weird way too. Spieth had the 1 year of college and then played. Akshay's dealing with this as well, although he's now been around for longer. Siwoo dealt with this thing as well, where he just never played in college. So you got to know him as kind of, I don't want to say a crappy player, but he was a very middling player when he showed up. And then Siwoo would just spike out of nowhere. You're like, who is this S? And I don't even think at the time that it wasn't just like Siwoo Kim, it was like SW Kim. And there was like SJ Kim was also on the leaderboards. There was not like a lot of differentiation between a lot of these guys when he showed up, but you got to see him be a grinder for a bit. And then boom, his career starts taking off. He wins the Players at 21. I would put Scheffler and Xander into this exact same mold as well. Like you got to know them, like they were good. And you saw their names like pop up on Korn Ferry or in a US Open if they happen to qualify. Like, who are these guys? Like, are these guys the next wave? I would have thrown Cam Young into that mix. Pendrith was another one who I like coming off the Korn Ferry tour. It's like, this guy's got game. I remember betting him at the Torrey Pines. He and Cam Young, I bet at the Torrey Pines US Open. You're like, these guys have the right type of bomb type game. And then you see them come in, so you're a bit more familiar with them. And I think that's going to happen to Blades Brown. Like Blades Brown might not win a real PGA Tour event for 2 years or something like that, which will be the exact same age that Jackson Koivun did it, but we'll have 3.5 years of Blades Brown experience. But oh yeah, he really built up to this. Like it feels like a different mentality where this guy kind of popped in and out of our lives at these bigger events or even some of the smaller events, but he was always the attraction and then dummied everyone in college. Like, oh my God, this is going to be the guy. Whereas this other guy went out and grinded Korn Ferry. It's just two different paths. And one of them feels more prestigious than the other, even if that's simply not true, because frankly, Blades Brown has been playing against the better competition.
Yeah. Blades Brown made an interesting choice this week to go Korn Ferry over Rocket.
Is that because he has the special temporary membership on tour right now, right?
Yep. He does. That we talked about, they were talking about this in coverage with Ben Coles too. Like what would you do right now? You're playing very well. Ben Coles is, very likely to qualify through the Korn Ferry Tour to get his 2027 card because of where he stands, because he's won there and, that's the way that he was playing. I don't know. I think I might come up for these 2 starts. If you don't make the playoffs, then these guys, there's still 6 more Korn Ferry Tour events after the Tour Champion, like after the playoffs. Yes, they wouldn't make the playoffs, but I don't know. It's an interesting argument. I think Jackson Koivun is someone to have to watch this week because he sees himself at 70th on the list. And like I said, I think quietly he wants to be at the Tour Championship.
Should be. Well, step one should be making the playoffs. Let's get to Southwind.
Yep.
And then, if you can get yourself in all the signature events, ticket punched.
I mean, for sure. Yeah. Blades Brown also had 61 last week, right? So it's interesting. About 4 or 5 months ago, you and I had a really in-depth conversation. I ask everyone this question all the time. I'm like, who's the best young American player under 25? Because you've got over in Europe, you're always talking about like building out the Ryder Cup team. You've got the Hogard twins. You've got Ludwig. You've got these studs over there that are coming up through the ranks. And it's like, who do we have over here in America? And then like you had a great, first answer to that question. You were like, well, how about Akshay? I was like, all right, well, Akshay's under 25. And people are like, well, Goddard, he's not, Cam Young, he's not, like you start to say some of these names and these guys are already in their late 20s. Now, all of a sudden, like between Blades Brown, Jackson Koivun, and you look at Miles Russell, you say to yourself, this is pretty interesting. Like here's 3 young studs that could pan out. Like, even if we get them to like Xander Cantley, like Colin level, forget the majors for a second, but just like getting them up to like that level when they're in their early 20s and they're supporting our international teams, I think that's a pretty special thing. So hopefully 2 of those 3 guys work out.
And I know that I bet it's funny you mentioned Ben Coles again. I bet on Ben Coles again last week.
Yeah,
this guy, man, he couldn't even cash the top 8 each way. He came 9th.
Oh man, I mean, he's perfectly suited. I mean, this is going to be an approach fest I mean, at least last week you had to put the ball in play off the tee, right? You had to kind of do a little bit of that, 1/3 that, 2/3 approach. This thing's like 80% approach this week. It's going to be just send it down there and then hit it close to as many pins as you can from a bunch of different ranges. And they've done a good job with changing the par and some of these par threes with making you use more than 2 or 3 clubs in the bag. And it's just going to be an approach fest. So it should be like right up Ben Cole's alley again. And he's putting well. Like he's like right there. He keeps putting himself in contention. But you can see him like, okay, so the big difference on Sunday of like John Deere between like what Ben Cole's looked like, where he looked like he was going to throw up the whole time. And then like Jackson Koivun last week was just like, hey, I get to go fishing after this. You can just see it in their body language. It's crazy.
You didn't see it for Koivun until the 72nd hole when at that point he knew he won as long as he didn't put it in the water.
Well, he did leave a skid mark on that tee, but it's still though, like, it was pretty solid. He makes that par saver on 9 and like the front 9, he's under par and, he's playing with Griot and Griot's struggling and it just was great. You could hear the Scotty roars coming. I mean, Scotty shoots 8 under on the final day. He says, I'm coming for you, kid. And he shot 5 under. If he shot 3 under, nobody touches him. So it was, all the credit to him, and definitely looked a lot different than Ben Cole's for sure.
Yeah, Ben Cole's. Anytime anyone sneezes around him and he has the lead, it's game over. He might as well just withdraw because he might have like heart failure or something like that. Poor guy. I hope he breaks through, but these Sundays are getting bad.
I mean, this would be even a better week for him to do it than last week. Like I don't know. I mean, as far as the fit goes and everything, I don't know. Some people just aren't destined to break through. It's just hard. It's really, really hard. That's why that's why people are going nuts over Koivun with Scotty hunting them down. And, it was a weakish field, but it's not a Korn Ferry Tour field and the kid won. It's PGA Tour event. So like, you got to, by all means, every accolade for sure for the week, for the win. Is he the next Scotty Scheffler? I mean, pump the brakes. Let's go easy.
Is Scotty Scheffler even the next Scotty Scheffler at this point?
Oh man, he's still pretty good.
Yeah, he's the king of coming in second. He somehow turned into all of us with our outright bets.
Oh my god.
Just second every week.
It's like a plague at this point. It's unbelievable. But I digress. I mean, let's get back to the Rocket,
Looking around my place, I realized I didn't really feel like it was finished. Everything worked, but there was a mix of older furniture that never quite fit together. So I finally decided to check out WAYFAIR, and honestly, I was surprised by how much I could get without spending a fortune. I ended up grabbing some new furniture, some new decor, and once it all arrived, the space actually felt like a home instead of a place where we just lived. The delivery was seamless, the prices were way better than I expected, and I love being able to see reviews from real people before buying. If you've been putting off upgrading your place because you think it'll cost too much or you don't even know where to start, head over to WAYFAIR. They've got you covered with everything in one spot, from furniture to lighting to storage to decor. With WAYFAIR Verified, you're getting quality pieces that have actually been tested. I ordered from WAYFAIR, and honestly, I think you should too. Ready to upgrade your home for way less? Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home and get your space ready for less. That's WAYFAIR.com. WAYFAIR. Every style, every home.
When I was younger, money was always something that I worried about well after the fact. I'd look at my bank account, hopefully everything added up, and if it didn't, well, I'd figure that out eventually. As I've gotten older with a business and a family and a lot of moving parts, doesn't really work like that anymore. I need to know where everything stands before anything becomes a problem. That's what I've liked about Monarch. Instead of bouncing between bank accounts, investments, credit cards, spreadsheets, everything is in one place. It gives me a much cleaner picture of what's actually happening with my money instead of what I think may be happening with my money. It's like having a financial advisor, but in my pocket. It's great. My favorite part is that Monarch isn't just about tracking what you've already spent. It helps you plan ahead, set goals, and it even uses AI to answer questions about your finances or flag big spending trends before they get out of hand. It really takes a lot of the mental load out of managing your money. Write your own money story with Monarch. Use code PATMAYO at monarch.com to get your first year of Monarch Core half off, just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code PATMAYO. Let's make some bets here because I actually don't have a ton on the go betting-wise. I have my 2 bets so far this week. You can go to coolbet.com right now. You can hit that in the description, and you can get the world's best number on Xander Schauffele, 22.5 to 1. And Keith, it's nothing really pointing to Xander winning this event, whether it be his stats, his recent play. But the way that Jeff described it to me, I actually thought made a ton of sense. And I'm sick of not taking this angle because I've missed out on a few winners so far this year because of it. This is higher than his Masters number was.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's playing poorly. You're telling me Jackson Koivun's better than Xander Schauffele now?
No, I'm definitely not telling you that. That's for sure. And
you hate this. Why do you hate Xander so much?
I do. I love Xander. If there's a player that I've gotten to know very well over the last couple of years on tour, his team, I love Xander. You know, I think, it was funny was all the Brian Harmon chatter on social media, after our conversation 2 weeks ago. And he gave the finger to the camera. And everyone's like, oh, geez, Keith knows something. I mean, you just walk around out there, you could tell. I mean, who the good guys are. And Xander's a good dude. You want to root for Xander, My question is does the Rocket get Xander's engine going?
Well,
that is my question. And if there's one thing I've gotten to know is that he needs to be engaged in order for us to get the full X-Men effect.
Okay, so this is the first event that he has played that is not a signature series or a signature. No, I'm already saying signature series, a signature event or a major since March, in which he came T4 at the Valspar that week. It's a bet on talent against a field that he just never plays against. He never plays in a field this week. And if this tournament had happened 4 months ago, he's 10 to 1.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I understand the rationale. This is a setup event for the playoffs. That's where my head's at on it with Xander.
Well, but we see a lot of guys get hot right before the playoffs, then keep that going into the playoffs. Like, this would be a good time to start playing great golf.
Oh, I mean, certainly if you love cash, this would be a good time to get yourself to start peaking for those 3 $20 million events in a row. Not to mention you could win 20 million by winning the last one. You win the tour for the year. Yeah. And certainly, I mean, he needs to kind of reassert himself as a top 10 player in the world. I mean, the drop off there has been like off a cliff. I mean, I get where you're going with all this. I'm trying to politely say that I'm not sure that he's that focused on the Rocket and he's going to be looking ahead. And this is a very logical step for these guys. The way the tour worked out, the schedule worked out this year is that, Scotty said it. Why are you here? Well, if I wasn't going to go home and then do a one-off week, I don't like to do one-off weeks and then come back. So I was just going to stay on the road, hit Minnesota, then go home for a couple weeks and do the playoff run. Most guys were happy to take a week off, come hit Detroit, not the hardest golf course in the world, get the game ready, and then head into TPC Southwind and skip, Sedgefield. So I don't know. I mean, what happened to Xander at Travelers?
He played poorly. Guys play. It's a tournament he's won before. So he wasn't trying to win a signature event?
I'm just not on Xander this week.
That's okay. No one, listen, you should be on the opposite of what I'm picking because I haven't hit a winner in age since Tom Kim. It's been like 3 weeks now. This is bad, but I'm in on it just based on the number versus the talent versus the type of course this is, where if Xander shows up with an A- game or a B+ game, there's like 3 guys in the field who can beat him. Like Scotty showed up with a C+ effort last week, and there was 1 guy in the field who could beat him.
Yeah, I mean, what's wrong with Scotty? There's not a lot wrong there. It just goes to show you how hard it is to get over the hump, even if you're the best player in the world by like leaps and bounds.
In his interview with Balionis after the interview, it is very funny that he echoed something that I said earlier in the year, which made Scotty a fade for me at the one tournament where he actually won, which is the American Express. And it's
Yeah.
funny that that's the one he won and then ended up coming second in all these tournaments. But straight out of his mouth, he's like, these tournaments where the winning score is going to be -20, -25 are just simply harder for me to win because you just have to make every putt.
Yeah, or -31 at the CJ Cup, whatever, Scotty. I mean, for the same reason you like Xander this week, Scotty's just better than everybody. He's just simply better than everyone. And the fact that, you know, some of his biggest contenders, like a Xander, Rory doesn't play anymore. Now you're dependent on Goddard and Young and those guys in order to try to challenge him. Maybe we should hope that Koivun works out and that he's back in the top. What are the chances of Koivun going top 10 again this week in your mind? You think they're strong?
Yeah, I think they're very strong.
Yeah,
Unless he is someone who like to really get on it after. Is he Bobby Mack flying back to Scotland and not sleeping for 3 days?
I don't know, man. I mean, he's sitting there with Balionis. He should be slipping her his hotel room key. I mean, instead of get this kid after it. We need a rock star. We need a pop culture star in golf.
That's not going to be him. He does
Yeah.
not seem like he has the personality for it.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Blades Brown. He's got the name for it.
Yeah, Blades Brown has that built-in advantage with the name. That's always a good thing. So the other bet I made was Johnny Kiefer, 75-1 with 5 places coming off a terrible week. Don't care. I've kind of pointed this out all season long that there are certain courses where you can kind of hit it wherever you want off the tee, and he has played well at all of those courses so far this season. So to run through which those are, I actually brought them up onto the rabbit hole right now, and I put them into the past 2 years worth of data for strokes gained total. You can see the best players on Torrey Pine South, GC of Houston, the Renaissance Club, Vedanta, and TPC Craig Ranch, excluding this tournament, taking this one out. Siwoo, Wyndham Clark, Chris Goddard, Tony Finau, Johnny Kiefer, Andrew Novak, Nikolai Højgaard, Harris English, Pierce and Cootie, Nick Taylor, Jake Knapp. You got Penge, Jagger, Shank, McCarty, Octane, Spieth, Hideki, and what's that?
Shank. Oh, baby.
Shank has how many rounds? He has 12 rounds to didn't he win during the fall? He beat Kanaya on us?
He did, putting one-handed.
That sucked.
he was putting one-handed. He won a tour event.
So let's see here.
Awesome.
So we got Scottish, Byron Nelson, and Farmers for Johnny Kiefer, T43, T9, and T3, but that is not the entire story here because let me clear the filters for a second because he was in Houston and he finished pretty well. Yeah, he was third in Houston as well. So some good results at this style of course for Johnny Kiefer.
Man, I liked Johnny Kiefer last week and it was a bomb.
Well,
he and Jackson Suber. You think there's good bounce back on both those guys?
Maybe sometimes but both those courses are not a hit it wherever you want fest because you can't. You can miss off the tee, and they weren't particularly especially Kiefer wasn't particularly bad off the tee. He just missed with his irons, and it was game over for him.
Yeah, I mean you can miss a little bit more off the tee, even at a place like 3M, but you start getting those irons wild, and you're done. You're cooked for sure.
So I thought it was interesting that did come to fruition of guys that just in my mind, I've had this circled for Johnny Kiefer for ages. So those are the only 2 bets that I have right now. The other guys that I was looking at were Nikolai, Cootie, Knapp, and JJ Spawn were the 4 that I was really considering.
Okay, so I was going to ask you about Knapp, Spawn, and Hideki are all sitting in the same spot. They're all sitting there in the mid-30s, let's say.
So I went in on Knapp last week. I liked what I saw from his underlying numbers of what we saw at the Scottish and the Open Championship, that the ball striking was back. All of a sudden, he reverted into being a terrible putter. His first 2 starts, he couldn't hit the ball at all. And the only reason that he missed cuts and wasn't dead last because he was putting a little bit. So I'm thinking, okay, now we're at a course where he can utilize driver. He's starting to hit driver pretty well. And obviously he spiked with his approach play last week and the putter came along with it. Dude couldn't chip to save his life. So this is a better course for him in my mind. He's won at Vedanta, which is a course where I liked him at. I think you liked him in Houston earlier on this season where he played really well. And if the putter has started to come back along with the ball striking, this was his formula earlier on in the season. No, he didn't win, but he was going off at lower numbers than this in stronger fields at courses that were worse for him. So he makes a lot of sense. Spawn is just, if Spawn shows up in putts, he's going to be in contention. It just, he has every time he's putted, 3 times all year. He won once and had 2 other top 10s.
I mean, Spawn's putter's been good lately. You know, that and
Bonds
been,
has? Feel like it hasn't.
Hang on.
Now you got me looking at JJ Bond's putting splits here. Yeah, he has not gained on the green since the. No, see, I'm looking at the Firmers again. At courses like this. So yeah, it's been 3 in a row. He had the Travelers where he came T7, putted pretty well, and he's been right around break even each of the past 2 tournaments.
Yeah, he just has good course history here, and he's the putter's actually kind of working. And I still think that, like we were talking about earlier, that the better the ball striker you are, especially on approach at this event, you're going to give yourself a considerable edge. I don't know. There's 3 guys right there that I'm just going back and forth on. I haven't made up my mind yet between Knapp, Spawn, and Hideki. I don't know. They all have a lot of perks. The one thing about Hideki is that he can get a little wild. The one thing about Spawn is that the putter can go away. The one thing about Knapp is that he can't chip. And I think all of those things are going to play a factor this week to a certain degree, probably the least of which would be Hideki spraying it a little bit, but Hideki's been pretty solid the last couple of weeks. And if you start to get into just a plain scoring fest where he can be a little wild off the tee, and it's going to be an iron game with long irons, short irons, and then a bunch of pitching and chipping in and around these greens, brand new greens. So, they're going to be tough to read, be a little bit more luck involved in putting than there will be than anything than there, normally would be skill. I don't know. It's a conversation I wanted to have with you.
Well, Brennan was the other one I wanted to look at. Now that he's drifted back beyond 50-1, like I saw him earlier in the week, he had got bet down to like 35. I was like, yeah, there's no chance that I'm betting that. But now we're back at a more reasonable number for him. Like Akshay makes a ton of sense here, but he's just not playing the best golf right now.
Yeah.
And then I go Ben Coles. You can go back to him. I liked Kiefer at a similar number. Now Kiefer's actually passed him on the board. He's dropped down farther. But when I started to look at long shots at this tournament, there was no one I could really come up with.
Oh, long shot wise?
Yeah.
I mean, we could have some fun down there because.
But you have to beat real people at this tournament. Like this is not only do you have to beat like the favorites, and we haven't talked about Cam Young and Goddard, who I think Wyndham Clark's number feels too long versus like, why is Siwoo ahead of Wyndham Clark here?
That is a very good question. I've said this for years that Wyndham Clark is one of the most undervalued players all the time on the odds board. I mean, there was years when he was winning US Opens and signature events and he was still sitting at like 50-1. He had won at less than about a month earlier at Pebble, and he was still 55-1 when he came into the famous players that he loops it out on the last hole and should have gotten into a playoff. How is that guy sitting that far down? He had just won a signature event. So he's one of those guys that for me has never really, even on this great run, he's never really been at near the top of the odds board. I could see the whole Siwoo thing. I love Siwoo here this week. I mean, I just think at some point Siwoo's great play has to work out for him.
I think it'll be at a harder event. Almost
okay.
To the point that Scotty made mention of last week, where it's hard for him to win a tournament because so much putt luck's involved. Maybe it ends up being a very high-end putting week for Siwoo, but the Open was actually a great spot for Siwoo, with the winning score being -10. Like that he could have done until, you want to talk about nerves coming down the stretch. We never got to talk about the Open, but Siwoo was basically Ben Coles on the back nine.
Siwoo got a little sketchy. He did. Yeah, he got it going a little sideways. I mean, like Sam Burns got it going sideways on the front. Sam Burns looked like he just wanted to leave, like crawl into one of those gorse bushes and go home. 17th hospitality tent was big enough for him to fit in. He just wanted to walk right into that thing and take off. Yeah.
Have you ever met Ryan Fox? Because he seems like a real good dude.
Very good dude. Very good dude. Very down to earth. Talks, walks, everything as fast as he plays golf. Just definitely one of those guys that you just can't root for enough. I mean, like he and Aaron Rai being major champions is like the golf god saying like, hey, if you're a good person, like the meek should inherit the earth, that type of thing. Like if you're going to be a good person, we're going to reward you this year. Yeah. I don't know what happened with Wyndham at the US Open, if that's the case, but those two guys, those are two legendary human beings. They are really good dudes.
Ben Griffin's in this field too. He and Cantlay are just stuck at the 30. Henley's here. Like that's why I don't love the super long shots, only because even if you can get past Cam Young, Goddard, Koivun, Xander, and Wyndham Clark, you're then dealing with another tier of about 10 guys who feel like they have a much better chance of, obviously their odds are better, but like if you put them up against, I don't know, if Chandler Phillips has another hot week, like is he really going to get hotter than one of the first 15 guys on the leaderboard? Probably not.
No, great placement play. But to go back to your point, I'm going to push back a little bit on your Siwoo point. When you start to make this a par 70 golf course, okay, it's no longer going to be 22 under that wins this thing. It's probably going to be somewhere in the high teens if they get favorable conditions. You know, they're looking at rain and thunderstorms over the weekend. That's in and off the golf course. Will that help them hold more greens? Probably, but there's still going to be a lot of bounce there because they've been recently sodded. It's tough to get this thing done in a year. These guys, these teams are amazing. Like they're laying sod, like to get that thing set and to have a grow-in period happen to like, and then roll these things to get them to the point where that they're playable. I mean, that they're still going to be very, very firm, even if it does rain some a little bit. I think that the golf course, like I said, the scoring average overall might make it a little bit easier, but the score versus par and what it looks like is going to favor more of my reason for liking Siwoo, which is I think that he can do what he did at Amex and he could win something in the high teens. Like he can get that done. And I love him playing a par 70 versus obviously playing a par 72 here.
I can understand that. Sung Jae was also like the king of par 70s for a while. Now he is the king of nothing.
he's the king of sweatshirts people want, you know? I mean,
pretty sweet sweatshirt.
Yeah, I guess, you know, I mean, we could do a whole fall pod on fashion, you know, and the different things that are going on, but all right. So to get back, you mentioned Ben Griffin.
Yeah.
And Ben Griffin has been on a good heater since Zurich, right? He's been playing very, very well. I would throw in there. I am far more interested in the Bizarro Ben Griffin, his partner in crime, Ryan Gerard, than I would be in Ben Griffin. And I'm going to get much higher odds.
Much higher is probably stretching. You're going to get slightly better odds. I don't know where it is where you're at right now. I'm looking at between a 32 for Griffin, a 37 for Gerard.
Gerard down here is in the low 40s, 40, 41, and Griffin is, Jesus, he's DraftKings has him at 28.
Wow, bad number.
So, yeah, that's not good.
So you get a better number on Griffin where I'm at, but a worse number on Gerard. I like Gerard better than Griffin as well. Yeah. But I think out of the guys that you mentioned from that range, Knapp and Spawn definitely have most of my attention.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. When I think of Griffin, I always think of Gerard. And the one thing, you know, going back to when we were talking about Ryan Gerard earlier in the year, February time, I think he was the favorite at Cognizant or something like that. And I was down there and you and I were chatting about him. And we were like, yeah, how's he going to chip and putt? Well, he kind of figured out how to putt and he's still striking the ball really good. So definitely one of those guys that I think he has my attention more so than Ben Griffin. That's for sure.
I definitely agree with you. Then it'd probably be Hideki, then Ben Griffin for me. Like I wanted to bet Nikolai because it seemed Nikolai is going to spike one of these events here soon. It feels like when absolutely no one is on him after everyone bet him all year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like his spike was Houston. And then like, we're just like, you know, praying.
Yeah. But but this is another course that I think has similarities to Houston in my mind, at least with how the approach goes off the tee.
Do you want to join me and lose for Argentina for 3 Sundays in a row?
Can't do it. I'd rather bet Toasty here than Grillo.
Toasty? Oh, man.
I don't even know Toasty's in the field. I'd rather bet
what a slight. Golly.
That guy's fun.
Hey, you know what? This is a bit of a wedge fest at times. And there's a wedge magician that's been playing well lately. He's got a couple of nice starts in a row. He's been striking the ball well. He played well at the 3M. He's got triple-digit odds. Seamus Power.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Lucas Glover.
No. I mean, it's tough to hit shots without any shoes on. So
he's 1 for 1 shoeless.
True. Yes.
What do you make of that, by the way?
I think that, well, number one, the fact that an official came to him and said something was wrong because, like that's not their place to say something. Number two, you could tamp the spike marks down now. If that's such a case. And Lucas Glover has like what? Look it up. He has like 625 career PGA starts. Like I think he knows what he's doing out there. And I will say this much. again, on the Brian Harmon scale, I would put Lucas Glover on the Ryan Fox, Aaron Rye end, 1000%. Guy comes up to you on the range, doesn't know who you are. First time I ever met him, guy takes his hat off, puts his hand out, says, "Hi, I'm Lucas." Like wants to introduce himself. Like I don't know who he is, right? I mean, like couldn't have been more of a gentleman and has been out on tour, gets elected to positions on committees because people think that he's a very rational guy. For him to get to the point where somebody's complaining about his shoes, it's really getting to him because like he knows that he wears spikes and he knows that he's probably very diligent about not dragging his feet. I mean, that's just crazy. It's just it's a next generation of golfer that is like they feel like the golf course needs to be perfect for him. It's not a game of perfect.
I always find it funny too, like when I play with, it's difficult when you play with random people, like in a few rounds, or even a couple of my friends who get like very uppity about like, well, you can't walk through my line. It's like, guy, there's not even like soft spikes on these shoes anymore. Like you might as well be walking in sneakers. Nothing is happening here.
Well, I mean, okay. To Lucas's point, he's not an aim point guy, right? So the amount of footsteps that are going near and around the hole, I get that nobody does aim point on someone else's line, but the amount of footsteps in the foot traffic that has been doubled and tripled around each of the holes at about a 6-foot ring from the cup, like how about the group that just comes up next and you have a putt and some guy was walking all over the place doing aim point? Like to me, I would need to know more about the situation, but Lucas would be like the last guy I would think that would drag his feet. I mean, the guy is a pro's pro forever. He's a US Open champion. The guy strikes it like he works for the Highway Commission. He hits it so good all the time. Poor guy can't putt, like Ben Coles can't play on Sunday. Like the guy has a plague. You feel really bad for him, but somehow, some way, he stretched together a career with like 600 plus career starts. Like that's a short list. And I'm going to give Lucas Glover the benefit of the doubt, not to mention the fact that he's a good dude.
Most career PGA starts. I am now
Probably
curious.
Jay Haas is number one.
Mark Brooks.
What?
803 starts. Jay Haas, 799.
Oh, how does Jay Haas not get one more Zurich with Bill?
Maybe he will.
Or like,
how old is Jay Haas now?
Oh, dude, I don't know. He's got to be like 60, low 60s, right?
Hey, Bill Haas, I think, is in his 50s.
Yeah, I would think Bill Haas is in his 50s, yes.
Jay Haas is 72 years young.
I mean, Jadon Blake played the Black Desert. If he could play that, they could give, I would be all for getting Jay Haas at Bermuda this year to give him 800 starts.
Davis Love the third is third with 790.
All right, so how many does Lucas have? 600 and what?
You know what? I don't know because he wasn't next on that list. Lucas Glover career starts.
It's got to be up around that.
He turned professional in 2001.
He won the 09 Open.
Yeah, that was at Bethpage, right?
Yeah, rain soaked. I went to that. That was a mud fest. Oh, that was awful.
He was what, in a group with Ricky Barnes on Sunday, I think?
I think you're right. And that was the golf was all messed up. I mean, they had so many delays. They couldn't get through the cut. Oh, it was a disaster.
Funny to think about the players who played well that week. And maybe at the time in 2009, that Glover was considered a bomber or something like that. But it felt like there was a lot of short hitters at Bethpage that year.
Well, it was super wet. And if you hit it anywhere in the rough, you could not advance the ball. So you had to be a very accurate player. Although Ricky Barnes was somewhat long in his time. Whatever time that was that he was around.
584 career starts for Lucas Glover.
Oh man, I would have thought he would have cracked 600. 600's a lot.
600's coming soon.
Yeah, 584. He's going to get there. Although this is the end of his 2 years for winning those two events, correct? Right, that was 2 years ago that he won.
Yeah, but he won a playoff event though, so maybe that gets him 3.
Ooh, that's a good call. Yeah, he did win Sedgefield and Southwind back to back. Remember who he beat in that playoff at Southwind when he had all that swamp ass? On 18, the guy hit the first hole of the playoff. Guy hits it in the pond on 18 and sudden death against Lucas. Lucas obviously just hits it in play, has to hit it on the green at that point, and he wins.
I don't remember.
Oh, the Iceman, Patrick Cantley, melted in Southwind, melted in Memphis. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, Brooks Koepka WD'd from Rocket.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I wonder if I guess if he doesn't do that before Monday, they don't pull those 2 extra guys then, do they?
I don't think so because it said that Ben Silverman took his spot in the field. So maybe he had planned on withdrawing, did the field a solid by letting 3 more guys in.
Yeah. Yeah. They had 2, right? Every time.
They had 2,
Yeah.
but now they have his spot is being taken.
Oh, so yeah, you gave him an extra spot. Good on him.
Yeah, he's outside the top 70 here. He needs to do some work.
I have interest in Davis Thompson.
Okay, Jeff, continue.
I do. He's doing the ball striking things that was like leading into the John Deere win, and he's actually able to putt the ball like within the like circle of friendship around the hole. The ball striking's good. The trend is good. Yeah, I'm gonna get talked into this, I think, for sure.
What I have him
Yeah.
at 45. What number do you have?
Okay, so I wrote down here 64 before, but I will give you a current one right now.
64 seems a bit more doable.
61
Okay.
right now.
And yeah, that's a lot better because the 45 was like now.
Needs to hit it like Ryan Gerard for me to get down in the 40s.
Yeah, because then I would just exactly because he and Thorbjornsen and Nikolai are all the same number with Gerard slightly above. If like just give me Gerard that group.
Oh yeah, yeah. In the 40s, I like Gerard. And you're talking about going against those exact guys: Thor, Ricky, Akshay, Bridgman, Harris English, who can't make a cut recently. Harris English can't putt. We're living in a bizarre world. I don't even know what that means. You know.
Do you think Michael Kim can keep the heater going? Now he'd shoot 59 every round.
Oh man. How about the fact that was the longest putt ever made by somebody on 18 to shoot 50, to shoot sub 60?
That tracks.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only so many putts. There's been 17 rounds of 60 or lower, and that was a 35 footer.
Yeah, well, they said during the shotgun, the strokes gained era, or shot link era. Sorry, I was saying it correctly at the beginning. Yeah, during the shot link era. So, I mean, not that they can't go back and kind of like measure Chip Beck or Al Geiberger or any of their last putts, but good on him, man. Excellent. I took full advantage the next day of going against him head to head because there's no way you back up that round with anything respectable. 69 or 68 would have been a great Saturday round for him. He ended up shooting 70. He scraped together a 1 under. The thing is, on the crazy thing on Saturday is that he hit the ball really, really well and he couldn't putt at all, which is kind of sad because obviously he made everything on Friday.
Yeah, he couldn't do anything on the front 9 Sunday either. And then he finally started to heat up again on the back 9. He's going to jump on with me here in a few weeks. We're going to talk about it. That I have to ask him about the putt because it felt like there was zero chance he was leaving that short.
Well, he's a big fan of yours. I talked to him at the Travelers, and I was just like, having a quick chat with him, and he was like, "Man, I love doing shows with Pat." So I think you'll get some great content out of him. I think, this similar to how he acts on X all the time. I think that you'll definitely get some awesome insights from him that probably have never existed before for a guy that shot sub 60.
Yeah, so we'll see how, because I want to ask him too about like, how do you even play the next day? Like, what's your expectation when you hit the course the next day?
Oh, I love the interview. He's like, I got to treat this now like it's a 36-hole tournament. And I'm like, no, dude, like you could celebrate the fact that like you just became a legend. You just became a trivia question. Like that's a pretty good deal. There's only been one guy on the PGA Tour that's ever shot a better score than you. Of course, Jim Furyk did do it twice, but
and he did it at the Travelers, which was a par 70, wasn't it?
It was.
A 59 at a par 71, you don't see often.
That's true. That is true. So they both shot 12 under. Interesting. Good point. There was a great piece of content it's real quick. There was a great piece of content that came out because Furyk was calling Travelers and he was there and they had him sit down and go through his 58 and he got every hole right what he had done. And that was like 15 years ago. Like it was crazy how he went through the whole thing. You could Google it. I mean, it's there, but they're just interviewing him like he's, on Netflix or something like that. And he's like, well, let me see how I do. He's like, man, it was that long ago. He's like, all right, on the first hole, I bang, I did this, bang, bang. And I was like, wow, that was pretty good. He did it. It's like a 3-minute video. It's really cool.
I'll throw the bets into the cheat sheet, but I like I said, I got Kiefer, I got Xander with the boost up to the 22.5, and I'll probably just go Spawn, Nap, and call it a week.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go Siwoo. We've talked about it enough. Spawn is there. Um, Davis, Ryan, Gerard, Argentina, something like that. Maybe Ireland too. I don't know.
Well, we talked
know?
about a few of these courses that seemingly play into the hands of certain types of players, and which we just kind of glossed over the two favorites of this tournament,
Yeah.
Cam Young and Chris Gotterup. I'm using Gotterup in one and done. I still have him in a few of them, so I'm going to use them.
Yeah, I used got her up at Deer, so that worked out. But I have Henley, Hideki, and Knapp.
Nap.
So yeah, I mean, but isn't everyone going to use Knapp?
No, I feel like a lot of people have a few of those guys left. Like I have a bunch of teams, so I randomly had Gotterup available in a few. A lot of
Yeah.
people have Patrick Cantlay left.
Well, yeah, I could understand that.
Like Gerard might be available for people.
I definitely have Gerard.
Koivun's gonna you can use Koivun this week or next week probably, unless he makes the playoffs.
Oh, I think he definitely makes the playoffs. He's sitting at 70 right now. I'm sure he's gonna play the next two.
You miss the cut here, then you actually have to do something the next week. Pressure's on.
Oh, all of a sudden. I mean, we spent 20 minutes talking about, the flowing robes and, releasing doves on his behalf when he shows up to the first tee. And now all of a sudden you're saying he's missing the cut at the Rocket?
It wouldn't be the craziest first time winner to go miss a cut the week after he won.
Again, all I said was pump the brakes. First round leader, what do you like?
Didn't really have. That's probably where I'd go to some of these long shots. And I honestly, Keith, I recorded like 3 football shows today. My mind is very much in football at this point, but it feels like a Carl Villa. Like I'd want to match driving with. I know you said approach is going to be important.
Yep.
I feel like for first round and the guys that you should be looking for, you either want to pair elite driving with elite putting or elite approach with elite putting and try to figure that out. And Carl Phillips's putting has been really good.
Carl Phillips makes sense for sure. I would just throw this out to the masses.
Kevin Roy?
Well, I was just going to see. Stealing my thunder. The two Kevins have been good to me lately in placements. And you and Roy have been very, very good. So those are two guys right there that could definitely do some damage on a Thursday. I don't think they'll do some damage over the weekend, but you get them in the top 20, top 30 fields, and they've been making me some money. So both of those two guys just kind of quietly are doing their thing recently, and they're in their like 6 to 8 week stretch where they're playing well. Those are two names right there that I like.
Yeah,
Sure.
Pendrith, Sam Stevens, Finau, like these are all guys you could swim around depending on what the odds are. I mean, Finau's a former winner here.
How about the mustache, Chandler Phillips? You want to go after that?
I don't know. I mean, he has those low rounds in him. You gotta time it right. So maybe, but it feels like now that a week after the strong performance, that's a very like, oh yeah, Chandler Phillips, and he goes and shoots 8 over or something.
Well, yeah. I mean, I had Jackson Suber last week. How'd that go? So
Suber was good here last year, wasn't he?
Yes.
I thought his odds would have cratered a little bit more than they did. Because Suber's still like 75. Like he's still ahead of Ben Coles and Johnny Kiefer, which, fuck. I'm just looking at it now. I'm going to end up betting Michael Brennan. I know it.
Of course you are. Yeah.
I was trying to think of the comp. And it's like, if DJ kind of sucked. DJ now, actually.
Yeah. There you go.
Like before DJ got really good with the chipping and putting, this is what he was. I mean, obviously he was more advanced than Brennan, but this is how he drove it. These were the wedges that he hit, which were very good. And you were just praying to get something else out of him that week and he would win. And Dustin would do that because he was that good. Brennan's like on that tier. If he can just get better with his short game, he's going to be a dangerous player because there's always going to be certain courses that will fit him perfectly. And his one skill is the most important thing that you can do.
It came up in coverage and they said, he had a terrible year. And then I looked at the numbers. I was like, oh my God, this guy he hasn't you and I were both very high on him coming into the year. And then it's just kind of stalled on him. And there's a ton of talent there. I mean, the way that guy punishes a golf ball in complete balance is a pretty impressive thing.
Is he having he made the cut at all 4 majors.
Yeah.
This is a guy who played on the Canadian tour last year.
I mean, but you need top 10s in order to make the playoffs.
Well, he's right on the cusp. He has the T6 at the Schwab because obviously his win doesn't count from Black Desert, but he has his card, so he's okay.
So that brings up an interesting, like, who really has to play this week? When it comes down to the
Top 70?
top 70, yeah.
Yeah, on the outside looking in, Putnam, Meisner, Kiefer, Jason Day, Austin Smotherman, Lipsky, Jackson Suber, Tom Hoagie, Denny, Pendrith. Brooks is at 84, and he WD'd. Chandler Phillips, Zach Bauschu, Tony Finau. Michael Brennan is at, where's Michael Brennan? Michael Brennan's at 106, so that ain't no good. Michael Thorbjornson's at number 69. Like, he needs to start doing something.
Yeah, he definitely does. How about the fact Andrew Putnam sitting at 71?
Did he spike a few top 10s earlier on in the year?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe Amex?
Yep. He's
And
made
those top 10s go a long way.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. That's why Brennan is at 106, and you're looking at a guy like Andrew Putnam.
Yeah, T5 at Valero for Putnam and T2 with the American Express, and that's good enough.
Oh, yeah.
And he has a T17, a T18. It just felt like Brennan kind of came out of nowhere and going up, like skipping the Corn Ferry immediately to get this PGA Tour status that you would know better than anyone, really. Sometimes it's helpful for a player like that to go grind on the lower circuits to build the confidence in some areas of your game where you're just not simply being outclassed every week.
I got this question this week, and someone was like, why doesn't Miles Russell just go turn pro? I go, well, where's he going to play? Like, because you think you've heard his name, all of a sudden you're like, if you go to college and you do it the way that like Jackson did it, or like Luke Clanton did it, like where you get that accelerated PGA Tour points because you get all those top 10s, that's one way to do it, but you have a card. Like you have status to play somewhere. It is very difficult to not have status. Set a schedule, be ready, be prepared. You're bouncing back between tour and tour. I think that's a lot of the reason why Blades Brown is just kind of like sat down there on the Corn Ferry Tour and just said, hey, if I keep playing very well here, then I'll do something in the fall, maybe with the PGA Tour, and then we'll see what happens from there. But like, you need status. You need some form of tour to be able to play on in order to predict what you're doing. Michael Brennan, it worked out great because he took his fall status and his opportunity with that, sponsors exemption? Was he a sponsors exemption to go to Black Desert?
He was, yes. Because I think he got it because he won the PGA of Americas tour.
Okay, so he gets that, and then he wins that event. I mean, that doesn't happen very often, right? That's like a Corey Connors Monday qualifying, win the Valero, so you really have to look towards like building up to getting a card. Scotty didn't do it that way. Scotty went on the Corn Ferry Tour, did it for a year. He slogged it down there, and then he came up, and then he had 70 PGA Tour starts before he won. Then obviously he went nuclear, but it's hard. It's really, really hard. Look at Ben Coles. He's been up here before. You guys challenged, tried to win the CJ Cup, loses on the final hole, goes back to Corn Ferry. He wins down there a couple times, and now he's fighting his way back up again. How many names have we forgotten over the decades of watching golf, of guys that pop up like a Ben Coles that are they just never make it.
Oh, there's a list of them. Tyrone Von Asfagen, Hank Lebiota, Chris Baker, the birdie maker, all favorites of mine.
Oh man. Pat Bates. Remember him?
No, I don't actually.
Oh, great one. Long hair. Google him. It's great. Yeah, I'm probably showing my age there, but anyway.
I mean, one of those guys was Will McKenzie for me at one point. Now he's just on the broadcast team.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. Brendan DeJong. There you go. He and Johnson Wagner, both those guys together have combined 700 PGA Tour starts. Johnson got through to the winner's circle a couple times, but Brendan only has a bunch of runner-ups.
I believe DeJong was at one point the highest earning player in history without a win.
Could be, man. I mean, the guy played the President's Cup, partnered up with Ernie Els at Muirfield Village, and he couldn't win one. Man, tough. He was a great ball striker. If you could only putt.
So there was a question we got for your pro tip this week from X about Shaftly. What would you like to say about that?
If I understand that question correctly, people trying to trap the ball against the earth or have the handle be ahead of the ball when they go and they strike it, and we're talking about hitting it off the turf. We don't want to hit it off the tee and have the the shaft be ahead. Certainly not with the driver. That would cause a host of problems. So we're talking about hitting an iron. Maybe we'll practice with, let's say, an 8-iron. There's a couple ways with which you can go about this, but if you're trying to feel more shaft lean, the only way you can get the handle forward is if you get your weight forward. So it starts with having a weight shift. So when you take the club away, you should feel the weight go into your right foot. And then as you come in transition, you start to move forward. If you want to get shaft lean, you have to get your weight going forward. If your weight stays on your trail foot, if you're a right-handed golfer, stays on your right foot, then you're definitely not going to be able to lean the handle ahead. So there's a couple of things you can do from like a drill perspective. The first thing you can do is, like, in your pre-shot, you can keep the handle ahead. We've talked about this before with chipping, like hands ahead help you have a downward strike on the ball. The more the handle comes back, the more you tend to scoop and add loft to the face. It also tends to pull the club up away from the ball, which means you could really top it, or you could just bottom out before the ball and hit it fat. So if you could give yourself a feeling pre-swing where you're pressing the handle forward and then leaving your hands in that position, turn your shoulders back and through, there's a good chance that you'll leave that handle to be ahead. Again, you're trying to feel like you cover the ball. So if you think about, if my hand is the iron and my thumb is the shaft, right? We want the club like this, and we want it to cover the ball. Too many times people think that they need to scoop and lift the ball this way. You don't. You want the handle to be ahead, and you want to be able to cover the ball like so. And another way to be able to do that, or to feel that, is to put something small behind the ball. You could do it with your golf towel. You could do it with an alignment stick, but you want to put it about a hand's width like this behind the ball if you're using that 8-iron or 9-iron or 7-iron or something like that. So you put it on the turf, and the ball is sitting here, and that's sitting behind it, again, like a hand's width. And you're going to strike down this way on the ball. And by trying to think about landing the plane a little bit more sharply this way, the handle's going to be ahead. It's very difficult for you to hit a descending blow and have the shaft be backwards. It won't be. So the more you feel like you're going this way, now, Keith, people are going to say, like, Keith, that's going to have me like I'm in a National Geographic video, like clubbing baby seals. Like, I feel like I'm going to be chopping wood. But if you keep moving your weight forward and rotating, you'll actually just scalp the ground and you'll trap the ball and you'll send it. So the idea is to feel like you're covering the ball. Again, shifting your weight into your lead foot will allow the handle to get forward. And a good drill is either through your pre-shot or just the drill in general would be to add address, ball here, press the handle forward, then take it back, and then come back to that same feeling, or putting something behind it. You could fold it, your golf towel, and leave it back there again about this far behind the ball, the width of your hand. And you would use like a short iron or a mid iron, and you can do that. When the towel's folded and it lays behind the ball, it's only, this far off the ground. So you don't want to hit it on the way back, and you certainly don't want to hit it on the way down, but you want to feel like you're coming down more steeply, getting your weight forward and rotating through. If you do those things, and you get those feelings, then you're going to start to really compress the ball a lot better, and you'll get the handle ahead, and you'll feel like, the shock of the shaft really become the engine rather than, dumping it on the way down and then scooping or chunking and sculling.
There's only one guy in my mind right now that seems to have the hitting down on the ball driver shot with the hands ahead, and he does it the best because he hits his wedges exactly how you said it. Obviously, not every time, but when he needs the shot in the wind, Goddard does it. He just did it. That's what he did at the Sony, was the hitting down on the driver, low little like mini. It wasn't even a drive; it was like a little hook around corners. It was an awesome shot.
Yeah, that's why when they created that hole at TGL where you had to hit it like with 2 degrees of launch, like everyone was excited to see what Goddard would do there. And I mean, he appeased the masses. He went in there with that 1-iron and he hit that bullet, and that shot is coming from covering the ball and then, maintaining that shallowness to the swing, and not just because if you do just chop down and you don't rotate, then all you're going to do is spike the ball up in the air with a ton of spin. He's hitting that ball that low, and it's like a knuckleball, which is why when it hits the ground, it like rolls forever. Goddard, he's extremely good with his trajectory control. Just like one of the best out there. It's really good. Scotty can hit shots like that too. He's been known to hit that like buttercut driver when he needs to fit it in a fairway and like, try to come in second in a tournament. He's really good at hitting that penetrator too, man. You get that thing, you get that handle way ahead and your weight's forward and you're your left hips rotate. Well, if you're a right-handed golfer and your left hips rotated out of the way, oh man. Another guy over the years could hit shots like that. Obviously, Tiger had the stinger. It was Hall of Fame worthy, but Sergio was like that too. Sergio was one of the best drivers of the golf ball I ever saw live. And I mean, he would hit it so low, and it was a sight to see because you knew he just had complete handle control of what was going on. It was really good stuff.
Do you have any questions for me?
Oh, come on. I had 2 weeks to come up with them. This is a risky question. There may not be one, but your favorite memory of the Rocket Classic, if this truly is the last one.
I just remember losing at this tournament all the time, whether it was Akshay 2 years ago when he had that 3-putt on the 72nd hole that ended up costing me. Obviously last year, Grazerman, you had Kirk. That was absolutely no fun when it looked like we had that one in charge. Whoever, I had Neiman here when the first or second Cam Davis win, he was rolling, and then Cam Davis chipped in on 17. I just feel like I know heartbreaking loss. The only winner I've ever hit here was Fowler.
Yeah, I hit Fowler. That's my only fond memory was him looking up at the sky, and I was like, thank God. Yeah, I had Kirk and Grazerman last year. That was good. That was awesome. Yeah. Question number 2. Best shot that you've personally hit recently out on the links?
I had a very manic round the other day. I shot a 78 with 2 pars. So
Oh, wow.
we were a little bit downwind, and it was a 330-yard par 4. We were playing at a Linksy style course, and there was a bunker covering it. And it was a brand new 18 holes that they opened at the course. And the bunker looked like it was right in front of the green. And I was like, no, I really can't go with this because if I don't cover the bunker, like it might just plug into there and I'm absolutely screwed. I tried it earlier in the round and it didn't quite plug in, but it just ended up becoming a really difficult bunker shot. And a guy like pulled out like the map of the course. He says, there's like 20 yards in between that bunker and green. I was like, oh shit, I'm going to take a shot at this then. And I can't recall a round where I've hit my driver so well. And it was doing exactly like, it's not like I was crushing everything, but the ball was going how I wanted it to go. I was just playing a little cut the entire day, and it was just flying off the club face. So I just hit this like giant high little cut right at the pin. It landed like 10 feet and just didn't move, and it just made the eagle. It was great.
Oh, eagle has landed. Love it. Will Jackson Koivun earn his way into the BMW Championship this year?
Yes.
Who would you rather?
I like that you're rooting against him.
Who would you rather be stranded on a deserted island with, Tim or Jeff?
Tim.
Bounce back week for Jackson Suber, yes or no?
Yes.
Which professional athlete, any sport, would you like to trade places with? Trade lives. I'm going to rephrase that. Would you like to trade lives and places with?
It would probably have to be a golfer, right? Every other sport's kind of dangerous.
Well, that's true. I hadn't thought about that.
You know what? I would like to trade places with Rory. That seems great.
Oh,
he's like a billionaire. He barely plays anymore. It sounds awesome.
Hey, all of that is true. Does Patrick Cantley make the President's Cup team?
No.
Ooh, interesting. Just off the green. This is you, Pat Mayo. All right. Closely mown area. You have, maybe around 5 feet of fringe there to go through. Do you chip it or do you putt it?
Depends on the fringe, honestly.
It's like,
is it sticky that like, it's like, would it be better? Because listen, there are some people who won't chip because they're bad at chipping. And there are other people who will chip if it's like a sticky type of rough where, like you can't really judge the speed hitting it with the putter. Like, no, listen, if it was like the green, depending on the length of it, I suppose, too, in the trajectory, but I would normally putt it and keep the ball on the ground if I didn't think I was going to lose a ton of speed with the grain into me or something like that. But, I've been chipping more often than putting at my course because the rough has been getting stickier. They've been growing it out.
Yeah, it was all meant to be medium. If it's smooth, what would you do?
If it's smooth, I'll putt it most of the time.
And what you said was correct. You always want the ball on the ground in short game situations as soon as it can get there. That's the great PSA for everybody. Last one. Who wins the Rocket Classic?
Xander Schauffele, although you have no faith.
Well, I hope for you X marks the spot.
Well, maybe we can both win with Jake Knapp. Maybe that can be the move.
Ooh.
Or Michael
Gotta
Brennan.
I'm not doing Michael Brennan, but
How about Johnny Kiefer?
I did Kiefer last week, and I don't know. I'm more interested in a couple better ball strikers. I want some really, really marksmans with their irons. I like the JJ idea. I love the Gerard idea. I love the Siwoo idea. These guys need to make birdies on like 510-yard par fours. This is what I'm looking for. That's
That
where
will
I'm
do
at.
it. Oh,
Yeah.
The Pat Mayo Experience. I'm not going to have a full write-up in the newsletter. I'll just have the cheat sheet at readtheline.com, Keith's newsletter, which you can find in the description, will be sent out on Wednesday morning.
Yes. Yes, it
perfect.
will. Yeah. Along with, oh, geez, we didn't even touch upon this. Women's British Open this week. Miyu Yamashita, great pick.
Me and you and who?
I mean, you guys think I make these names up. Pajari Anaranarukarn. That's a real person.
So who is this person? Miyu
Yamashita. She's going to be around the mid-teens.
Mid-teens?
Yeah.
Come on, Keith. Give me a 300-1. That's a guarantee.
301 to guarantee. Aylin Kim, you're going to get her in the mid-30s. ALK. Good links player over there. Lauren Coughlin, 80-1. There you go. Play her with some each ways. Can you get each ways on the LPGA?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Lauren Coughlin with some each ways. There you go.
Let's see what she's at. The AIG Women's Open. Let's get some each way markets on the go. You said Lauren Coughlin?
Yep. Coughlin.
Oh, you said, wait, no, you said someone Kim, right?
Lim
Kim?
Yep, that's her. Yeah, ALK. Yep.
ALK. She's 28-1 in the each way market. So that means that she would be in the mid 30s.
Yeah.
Now I can't remember. Coughlin. Where's Coughlin? 60-1 on the each way if you want it.
Yeah, she's like 80 in the regular market.
Yeah, but you can get the 5 places with that 60. And according to this, someone named Shanette Wassanen is minus infinity. I have to share this on the screen. I know this is not a sponsor of our show, but I got to show this. I've never seen this before on a website.
Infinity.
Check it out. Minus infinity.
She's not that bad a player.
Well, she's minus infinity. You can pay off if she wins, or hell, even if she comes inside the top 5, you're dancing.
Well,
here.
I understand that's not one of your sponsors, but I don't think that's really a ringing endorsement for the quality of their attention to detail. Infinity. But somebody actually spelled the word there.
It must be a placeholder type thing. What happens if I click on it? I'm not logged in. Let's not go through that or show off my password. So let's not do that. Let's click back out of that very quickly. Either way, I've never seen that before. World's largest sports book. This is what happens.
They're playing Royal Lytham and St. Anne's.
Oh, so. When's the Open Championship going back there?
Oh, great question. A couple of years, I think. It's been a while since there. What? The last one there was Ernie in 2012?
Yeah, the Adam Scott Blowett year.
Was that the Adam Scott Blowett year? Or was that the Muirfield year?
Where did Darren Clark win?
Well, Darren Clark won when DJ hit that 4-iron OB on the par 5 on the back. That was what, Royal St. George's, I want to say?
If that was Royal St. George's, then yeah, then Royal Lytham and St. Anne's would have been the Adam Scott loses to Ernie because he blew it.
4 straight bogeys. Yeah, to close. Talk about 2 sweet swings.
Royal Lytham to host a 2028 Open.
Oh, there you go. A couple of years. I was right.
So there it is.
Yeah.
Is that becoming a norm where a course will host the women's and then it will have the Open in a few years?
Oh, I'm not sure. Although they're doing the Pinehurst 2 for in a couple of years on the U.S. Open side, where they're doing back-to-back weeks again, like they did in 14 when Keimer and Michelle Wie won.
Why can't they just let the women or the men play Pinehurst number 10 instead? Which is better in my mind.
I mean, I think it's kind of an optics thing, Pat. Like,
oh, we're number 2. You need to play number 2. I much preferred playing number 10. I thought it was way.
No, the optics thing was like if all the crowds are on number 2 and no one walks over to number 10, how's that look?
Why wouldn't they walk over to number 10?
Because they all want to watch Rory and Scotty.
Oh, you mean like but it would be different weeks.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like they're going to do Pinehurst number 2 in back-to-back weeks, like they did in 2014.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, why don't you do Pinehurst number 2 for the men, do Pinehurst number 2 for the men, and do number 10 for the women? Show
I
off
haven't
2
played 10.
Pinehurst courses.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that'd be good for them. I'm sure they would vote for it.
There's a Pinehurst 11 coming, or at least they were building it when I was there.
Yeah. Village of Pinehurst. That's a cool thing. Pick the right time of year, though. You
Yeah,
know?
don't go when I went, and you play Pinehurst number 2 in 3 degrees Celsius weather.
What does that mean? Like 40 degrees?
Yeah, 38, 39.
Oh, God. I mean,
Bit
with
chilly.
the Bryson year, God, it was like 100 degrees. That was like beastly hot. Oh, brutal.
Give me that. Give me that instead.
It'd be better than 40 degrees. Tell you that much.
Keith Stewart at KJ Stewart PGA on X. I'm at the PME. Leave a rating and review on the audio podcast on Apple or Spotify, or just join on YouTube for the Mayo Media Network. The cheat sheet will be dropping on Wednesday along with Keith's newsletter as well. You can sign up for both for free down in the description. Okay? I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!